myself. I have not done this before on my videos, and so today I will let you know that I am Sprouse Rowe Studio. I'm Evelyn Sprouse Rowe, and I am a Colorado artist and enjoy doing acrylic painting and also enjoy doing collage. I want to share that with my audience and hope that you will be able to take away some of what I've learned and apply it when you make your art. And the part of relaxing and making art is something that I'm just learning. And so I hope that this video on gel plate printing and putting together a piece of artwork from gel plate prints will be something you can use in your artwork, and hopefully this will be an enjoyable video. Hello and welcome to Sprouse Rowe Studio. I'm going to be doing some printing today, and I'm using the gel print or the gel press to pull some prints. I'm trying to decide what color I need to use because I'm working with some colored paper that already has gel press prints on it to make a background. And so what I'm trying to decide is how to pull something that I can actually put on this background and make a piece of artwork. So looking at some of the botanicals that I pulled from the garden and have dried, they should make a pretty good image because they are flattened and will be able to make a pretty good image. I'm anticipating using a smaller piece, like half the size of my gel plate. The gel plate is about an 8 by 10, and so this, let's see, maybe the gel plate is bigger than that, but the half of the gel plate is what I'm anticipating that will suffice for the darker color plant that I want to put onto this background that I already have. And so I'm going to take two prints. The first print is going to be the negative, and I can use that in a different piece of artwork and show you how I would use that negative at some point. But the first print that I will pull will be that one, the negative print. So it'll pick up all of the paint around the plant. And I'm using tissue paper because tissue paper seems to be the most absorbent, and it really does make a nice negative print. So the negative space around the plant is what I'm trying to actually capture. I do this gently because these plants are dry and it can sort of, they can just kind of break up and get into the paint, and I don't want that to happen if I can help it, and I can save the plant and use it again for another print. So I'm pushing down gently with my hands instead of rolling. I find that rolling with a stiff brayer can break the plant, and it can also cause some holes in the thin tissue paper. So I just continue to press around those really small areas of negative. Okay, I'm going to see if we've got a dry enough paint. And yes, it's pulling quite nicely. It's pulled most of the paint onto the tissue paper. And so this will really be nice because once you dry that and put it over a background or into a collage, you have that beautiful image, and it's quite striking to have contrast between the positive and negative. So now I'm pulling what they call the ghost print. And a ghost print or a positive print is the part that I'm really after today, because I want to get that image that's going to be in the front of my composition. And I want that bright blue to be in the front of my composition. So I will, as you watch me, you will see that I use 3 different prints and put them all together at the end. Okay, I'm getting a good release of paint and a pretty good pull. It looks like some good detail and some nice shape to the print. And you can see that it is a pretty good print. It's got a little hole in it, but that really doesn't matter when you put the adhesive, the matte medium underneath, and glue it to the surface. And I'm showing you a surface that it could be glued to. I don't use this particular piece of paper with that particular piece, but that's the idea. It goes over a background and adhered to with a gel medium, a sort of acrylic medium, clear, and that will make your tissue paper pretty much disappear into the background. The white tissue paper does a pretty good job of that. So now I am over here looking at all the different backgrounds that I can use with that I have just pulled, the print I have just pulled. So I'm looking at these for background, but I'm not settling on the one I was going to use. Okay, here I am showing you the negative and thinking about that on the background, because that background is a rather busy one, and maybe I could use it in a different print than I'm going to do today. And so I'm considering what I can do with that. Again, I'm back to this particular piece, looking at the yellow and seeing if I would like to use that. I've got 2 or 3 of these yellow pieces. Well, I've found this green one. Instead of the more yellow, I think I like the green one. So the green one is the one that I settle on, and we'll show you how that will come about. I'm still thinking about, should I try something with this negative print? But really I want the foreground to come forward, and the blue positive print is the one that will do that. It'll come forward when I adhere it, and the tissue paper will disappear around it. Now I've decided to go ahead and turn around, turn the gel plate into the portrait shape so that I can use the whole plate instead of just half of it as I did in the last print. So now I'm going to be using the whole plate and in the upright position, and I do have to clean that plate a little bit if I don't want that image in the background, because once that image builds up, here I'm taking it off with water, because once it builds up, especially half of the plate, it's going to make a different look, maybe something you really don't want is complicated in the background. So we're going to try the whole plate this time, and I've got the blue, and we'll be using quite a bit of blue on here. So I'm going to add some to the palette, and trying to get good coverage, especially once you wet part of the plate, is a little bit difficult. I like to start with a plate that is, you might say, have it cured with a little bit of oil from the previous pull, and so when I store it, I put a little bit of mineral oil on it, and that helps you to have a good surface because the gel press actually absorbs some of that oil, and it just makes a nice print. I guess it's the product in the gel press that is part petroleum, is the way I understand it. And so I'm putting on and trying to get a good even coverage and work it over the whole plate. Now I'm going to do the same process, and I've got a different plant, and I'm turning one of the plants over to see if it would fit into that space better, because you can use either side, even if you've used the other side, as long as the plant's holding together. Again, I'll be using tissue paper to pull the first print. It is the most absorbent paper that I have on hand, and the transparency or the thinness of the paper, again, it allows you to push the paper down and around the plant. So I'm taking my time again to really massage that plant into the gel press and get a good print. Those little tiny spaces between the leaf and the stem are the places that really make the print read very clearly, so that we get a clear print, something that looks like the plant. Because if you don't get around those little spaces, you really don't get a good print. And your paper should absorb that paint, and you can kind of tell if the paper is sticking to the paint. And leaving it on there long enough does also sort of guarantee that your paint will come off when you pull it, because it's just a matter of feeling your way through this. Sometimes I'm checking to see if the paint is adhering well, and it seems to be about ready to pull. So I haven't sped this up because I wanted you to see, the process of actually massaging that paper into the gel press. And that's actually going to be a pretty good print, because you can see most of it's come off around the plants. But again, there toward the sides, it didn't come off. So, that's part of maybe the dryness of the paint or whatever. So I'll set that aside, and I'm trying to decide if I'm wanting to try to pull some more of that paint off before I pull the print, the positive print. But I'm not going to. I'm just going to pull a positive print and see what happens. I don't know if it's going to be a success or a failure. But once you get that paper down, you usually figure it out. I mean, you usually say, you know what? I can tell there's not enough moisture in that paint. It's not sticking, or maybe it's not sticking. And maybe you can't really see the print coming through. So we'll see what happens. I'm just going to take my time to see if I can pull that positive print. Okay, I'm not pleased with it at all. That didn't work. So I'm adding paint to the press, a different color, and I'm going to roll that on. And when you put a good layer of paint on, a lot of that paint underneath it will come up. Again, depending on just how wet the paint is. If it's too wet, your prints won't pull nicely. If it's too dry, the paint won't come up. So there's just different things to consider. And this is kind of an experiment, as I feel like a lot of art is. The good things come out a lot of times in the happy accident. And I'm just going to see what happens here, if I can pull up some of that underneath the blue, and use this blue paint to soften up what's on the plate and pull it off. But at the same time, I'm going to be doing the same process with the plants and picking up paint. I'm just going to use the same tissue paper because it wasn't very used, and my main concern here would be to, again, pick up that negative print around the plant and get that paint up, and hopefully leave enough paint under the plant to make a good positive print. So it's taking time again to massage that in, to find the detail in the plant, and discovered that by pressing down and making sure that I get those little tiny spaces. A lot of times this experimentation just gives you a kind of a knowledge of what's going to happen next, and so you just pull lots of prints. Now I pulled out 3 of the prints that we just made, and actually 2 of them we just made, and the green background that I've chosen for applying the negative and the positive print. So this is the negative, one of the negatives that we pulled, and I'm putting that over the top of that background, hoping that the background will show through a little bit, and with tissue paper again. But since there's a lot of color on that tissue paper, it is going to cover the green. So that turquoise aqua color will cover that green quite a bit and change it. And so it'll be the dominant color around the plant. But some of that green and what's there will show through. And the transparency of the tissue paper allows a soft kind of transparency, I guess you could say. So you're going to get some layering happening. And you want to put quite a bit of acrylic medium that will adhere the tissue paper nicely. along with me in this video, and I hope that the process of putting 2 or 3 prints together and making a composition is something that maybe you will be able to accomplish. Please leave any comments and like and subscribe to Sprouse Row Studio. And we'll see you in the next video.